Welcome to the very first episode of Cartridge Chronicles, the podcast where we dust off the cartridges, blow on them, whether that helped or not, and dive deep into the games that shaped us. I'm Questmaster Prime, and myself and my good friend and co-host Marz and Attakz are going to reminisce about the games of yesteryear. Today we're going to talk about the popular beat-em-up role-playing game, River City Ransom for the Nintendo Entertainment System. All right, let's do this. So we're going to be talking about the River City Ransom. Me and Marz Attakz here. And I want to get started with the development of River City Ransom. And then we're just going to discuss it. We're just going to talk about it in more depth. So basically, it was developed and published by Technos Japan and known as Downtown Nakitsu. And I might butcher this name. Nakitsu Monogatari in Japan. Street Gangs in Europe, and River City Ransom in North America. Developed took between 8 to 12 months, and it was released on April 25th, 1989. It was part of the Kunio-kun series, which is localized as River City. This series included such games as Renegade, Super Dodgeball, Crash and the Boys, Street Challenge, and Nintendo World Cup, which were heavily. I actually like Nintendo World Cup. That was actually a really good.
I like Super Dodgeball. The thing about all these games is all the characters look the same. Yeah. So it's like, okay, they're like what do they call it? Like the same universe. They're all in the same universe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I noticed that. Before even knowing all about this, I noticed the similarities with the characters. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. They look exactly the same. This is crazy. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And like you said, it's the game was the Kunio-kun series, which was created by I'm gonna butcher it, Yutahisa Kishimoto. He basically it's basically loosely based on himself. And when he was a teenager and he's in high school, and the main character Kunio-kun is basically him. That's basically what it is.
He did a lot of fighting and extracurricular activities. So.
Yeah, actually, he did. He got into fights on a regular basis. It was always triggered by basically the story of this game, which was a girl who dumped him. Well, the girl dumped him in his life. So now I kind of realized this. I realized this wasn't popular outside of Japan because. And we'll talk about it with first impressions, but I never heard a lot about this game. I had Nintendo Power and all that stuff, and I don't remember seeing it. I remember seeing it in I remember seeing it in a rental store, but I don't. And then I was like, "What's this?" I've never saw.
I think that's actually a lot of games, a lot of IPs back then. You weren't going to know anything about them outside of Mario, outside of Sonic, outside of the big IPs like the Nintendo. You're not. I don't even. There was never a commercial for River City Ransom or any of those games. But there are certain IPs or intellectual properties that these are the ones that you're going to see that you want your parents to buy. But then, like you said, you go to some video. Or some arcade, some rental store, and you see all these other games that you've never even heard of.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah, you're right. There was no commercial really. I don't remember any commercial.
No commercial, and then you think about with Nintendo Power and the magazines back then, no advertisement. There's no piece about the game. Again, it's one of those things you stumble across. And it was funny because I was talking with a friend today, and I was telling him, I was actually telling him about my nephew and saying, I built him this machine with all these games, and he doesn't know what to play. And he's got to do what we did back in the day. And it was whatever had the cool box art, that was the game you
Yeah.
wanted to play. And I played a lot of bad games,
Yeah.
and I played a lot of good games because of the box art.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and this was one of those games where it was like, River City Ransom, and then you turn it over, you see two people can play, good, we're good, like.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the box art, now I want to ask you, like, did the box art like really did it grab you? Was it the box art that grabbed you? Like what grabbed you with the what actually
I think what grabbed me was it was a beat 'em up, and it was close enough to Double Dragon that you played in an arcade, and two people can play it.
right.
So it was the idea of like, okay, it looks sort of like Double Dragon,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's not. It's some knockoff Double Dragon. But at the time, it was like me and my cousin. Like I would always like he had every system, so playing it at his house with him, and this is something that we could play together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I actually first played the game, was with my cousin. But yeah, so we went to the rental store and boom, saw this game. This is one, and it was like 2-player.
Mm-hmm.
Let's grab it, and then next thing you know, we're just beating people up on streets and with pipes and brass knuckles and all that stuff. So I can't say it was the box art, because the box art actually, if you look at it, is generic.
It is.
But really, at the time, it was, again, like I said, for a lot of the games, it was like, can we play it with somebody else?
Yeah.
And that was a draw. So.
Yeah. Yeah. The co-op is that's probably what that kind of lured me to it as well. Like the co-op, you can play with other people. I was playing with my friends. It's pretty good. I play it solo most of the time because I usually rented it, and I had it. I got it when I was in Jersey in the summertime. So I don't think I ever played. I played it a few times with friends, but most of the time I played it solo. But playing with friends is actually probably better, probably easier. The game is probably a little easier.
You can get a little bit farther in the game, definitely, if you're playing with someone, especially this one.
Yeah.
But because if you go like the history of beat 'em up games, they get the solo play. I feel like there are some games you could play so like, but this one was clearly made like you need help. Like, so.
Yeah. That's true. So we're getting right into first impressions. So which you already kind of dabbled in a little bit. I'll talk about mine. So I kind of already said it already, but I rented it at the West Coast Video. I don't know if you guys have West Coast Video. You guys remember?
So at this time where we lived, we didn't have we had this place called Bethel Video that was outside of the military base where we grew up. So that's where we did all our renting. We didn't even have a Blockbuster, because you had Blockbuster, West Coast Video, and then a bunch of other rental places. But we didn't even have. There was no major chain where we lived. So that's where we did most of the renting of our games. And I remember it was this game, River City Ransom, and Mega Man 2, specifically Mega Man 2. Were constant circulating in the games that I played. So, but I just remember. Oh, I'll let you finish your first.
No, you're good. No, you're good. You're good. I was just. Yeah, go ahead.
I remember again. Also, when I would visit my family in other places, like I said, my cousin, he had a system, and then if I was spending a night or the weekend at his house, we'd go to a video rental store. Now he lived around a Blockbuster, but rent it there, play it, staying up to 3 or 4 in the morning playing video games. It was a fantastic time. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was it was also this just juxtaposition of video games were rotting your brain out, but they're also like keeping you safe in a way because you're not running the street, but you're at home, and your parents know where you are.
Yeah.
And again, you're up late hours. I remember again, not really, especially with this game because it's a very specific genre of game, and it like again, this is its own universe, and so I don't know anything about these characters. Of course, like any video game back then, they just gave you this quick rundown. Oh, you and your friend, your girlfriend got kidnapped, or she got kidnapped by some rival school. Go get her. Like that's it. So that was the games back like when we grew up. There was no elaborate story. There was no Nope. It was like here's a few words. And you go do what you do now. So I actually kind of missed that in a way.
Yeah.
In some aspects where it's just like, it's a very simple. Yeah. They got your girl, go get her. Yeah. They got the president, go get him.
Go get him. We got to do a. What was that Bad Dudes? Is that what
that's Bad Dudes. Yeah,
we got to do a Bad Dudes episode. That would be great. I think the biggest thing was like when I got the game, like I was like, oh, this is like Double Dragon because there was no manual, right? It was just I saw the box and I was like, oh, two guys fighting. That's Double Dragon basically. So like I was playing the game, and the one thing that really grabbed me, I think we talked about this before, but the one thing that grabbed me was the just you can go to the store and you can buy food.
Yeah, that was different. You're like,
yeah. You
can buy food. You could buy magazines.
Yeah, you buy
like you buy nudie magazines. Like it was just like, like what is this? How does this help? Like what does this even have to do with the game?
Yeah.
But and then like you think fast forward now to basically where a lot of that's like an RPG, tool. But a lot of games now have that RPG kind of like, you can power up in this way. You buy food, you buy supplies, and then you move forward in a game. So, like, this was way ahead of its time.
Yeah, it was.
For that.
It was. Yeah, because a lot of the games, like, I was like, most of the fighting games, you hit the guy and pizza comes out. Well, excuse me, Ninja Turtles. The pizza, you get pizza, there's a turkey in the trash can. There's like stuff on the ground, and you just eat it. So, like nobody does that in real life. So like having them go to the store.
They had shopping districts with different restaurants and different shops.
Yeah.
You're like, okay,
people walking on the realistic. I was like, this is pretty good.
And that's going back to the element like you brought up, like this is this guy's life. Right?
Yeah.
And this is what he remembers. Like, I remember going through these towns.
Yeah.
This is where I might have gotten ramen. This is where I might have gotten, like, so that's interesting. And even, like, some of the names on the shops, I have a feeling that they are what he experienced,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like the sushi. Like, you can buy sushi. You can buy, like, pretty much Japanese dishes, right? It's all Japanese. I think there was a burger, maybe. Was there? I don't remember.
Yeah, there's a burger.
There was a burger.
Like, it's like $22, and you're like, I don't know. Like,
it was pretty expensive. Like the stuff was really expensive. So, I mean, I did like that. I did like that you could just go to the store. You can buy stuff. I think you can like it upgraded your character. Made him like more intelligent. There's ones that the books made him wiser. I don't know. Like, and you just leveled up, and it was just one of those games where I was just like, wow, this is different. It's the same beat 'em up, guys run up to you, you beat the crap out of them, but it was the same mechanics there. But it was totally like I couldn't believe what kind of this is real.
Yeah, like again, like you're just like
Yeah.
okay, like, but so again, ahead of its time, you're just like
Yep.
okay, like why am I at a ramen shop? And then like oh, this increases your attack. This is increases your stamina.
Yep.
And you're like okay, like,
Yep. Yep.
and I still got beat up. It didn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You have any other first impressions you want to share with this game?
Just the different stages. That was also interesting. Was like you could basically skip stages. So it wasn't this idea of like you had to stay in one place, finish off the guys there. You could basically run through the entire game.
Yeah.
Um, and go to different places. So that was different to me. It was almost like I don't want to say open world, but I mean it was kind of because again like you're in this neighborhood. You don't have to. You could go backwards. You can go forwards. Like even when you die, you would end up back at one of the shopping areas. Where right, and it might be a couple different boards from where you just left. So that even that kind of like pseudo save, thing. So that was really different. Like I said, you just being able like, oh, I don't have to stay in this area and beat up all the guys here. I can just run through. And then they would even run after you.
Yeah, come after you. Yeah, they do. I do remember that. Yeah.
They would run after you while you're running. Yeah. So you're just like, okay, this is
realistic.
Very neighborhood. Like you're in a gang or you're fighting a gang. You trying to get away. You better run.
And that's the funny thing. Like when I played it, I was just like, you get to like you can go everywhere. So I went to like the places I should have been going. I was under level, but at the time when I first played it, I didn't get that. I was just like, oh my gosh, these guys in this town are hard.
Yeah,
like blocking me and all this other stuff. I'm like, or they throw me. Like some of them are they pick you up and they throw you. I'm like.
And then you're like, oh, they're doing jump kicks. Like, can I do that? And you're like,
yeah. You can't do it yet. Like, you can't if you go to the wrong side of town and you don't know how to fight, you're screwed.
They're throwing stuff at you. Like, can I throw things? Yeah. Like they have a strategy too.
Yeah, they do.
That was kind of like,
yeah, exactly. So that was the thing. Like, it was just. Like you said, open world. So it's like an open world game. You can go anywhere you want. You can fight the bosses out of order if you want. Like there's an order to that. We'll talk about that a little later. But like it was crazy. Like way ahead of its time because there was not many. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there were many open world games. I don't think there are any open world games. Or it was even a genre back then.
I can't think of any like that. Outside of the dungeon games.
Yeah.
No, like especially not when it came to like beat 'em up games.
Yeah.
It was like you got to finish this board, this stage, and then we'll point an arrow and say go that way. Like
yeah. So, exactly.
Yeah. So for it to have that kind of like, just again, like I said, you could just run through if you wanted to. You could just run through.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of brings me back. That kind of brings me into like the mechanics of the game. So we kind of already talked about the mechanics. So we're talking about like, it has RPG elements, but also beat 'em up elements as well. So I was thinking, like I put in my notes, like it was almost like Grand Theft Auto before Grand Theft Auto. Like you weren't a crook, you weren't a criminal, but you are beating up people on the street. You're stealing their money. Like if you beat them up, you get a little coin pops out of their pocket. Yep. So you're stealing their money. I mean, that's the money you get in the game. You're stealing from them. What are your thoughts on the gameplay mechanics?
The being able to pick up a person and throw them was like, holy crap! Like, what are we even doing? We're kids. Like, because the other thing you remember is like we are in high school. Like, we know we're in high school, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of what we're doing is like these people aren't coming back. So, like, they got whips and chains and the brass knuckles was like the one thing where I was like, oh, this is really different. Like, you could keep it on or you could throw it. If they had rocks on the ground, you could throw anything.
Yeah.
But even the combination of running and jumping and doing a kick, beating somebody with another person, that was
I like
something.
That.
Yeah. And then also like when somebody, I guess, dies in the game, the exclamations, barf, and
I love that.
Like you're just like, what are you? Why is that? But I think also like coming back to like the loss in translation for a lot of games back then, where it's like, well, what is this person actually saying when this is happening? They're not saying barf. We know they're not. We know they weren't really saying that. But I think a lot of it was like, what do they think Americans say when things like this happen to them? Like, that's not it. Like, so you can see that loss in translation and the Americanization of the game. So
it's very similar. Like, it's like the anime. You watch anime and the nose be bleeding. That's supposed to be like embarrassment or something like that. Like, but when you look at it as an American, you're like, what the heck? This is weird. But so it's the same. I guess they thought like if you hit somebody in America, like they go barf or what, or maybe it's not barf, like puking, but maybe it's like,
and that's the thing. It probably was the Japanese sound, like you would see in the manga.
Yeah.
But in America, they're like, this is the sound it makes, like, so.
I didn't research because I know they usually have Americans like do like I mean, there's no script really. I mean, it is kind of, but it's not really a script. So I guess they wouldn't have an American like translator or something like that. But
but even I think this is a time too where they couldn't have. You weren't getting a lot of voice sounds in games.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, this is what it translates to. That's you're like, I guess that sounds like barf.
It does. Yeah. All right. Well, I was going to talk about like I guess where you start the game. So it looks like you start the game, and like you said, I think they're high school kids.
Yeah.
So you start the game like at your high school, right? And you basically get attacked as soon as you walk out the school. Like it's almost like you get jumped the minute you walk out the school, and they be running after you. And because the main boss obviously is Slick. Slick is the boss, the main guy. So it's like he was like they were like ready to jump on you before you walk out the school. Right when you walk out the school, they're ready to get on you. So like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think again, this is an experience of a person. So it's mirroring an experience that he had, right? Mm-hmm. So I think also the element again was, here's a quick synopsis, get to it. Mm-hmm. So we can't do a lot of storytelling. We're not going to scroll a lot of text. We're going right to what we need you to do. Your girl's been kidnapped. Let's get to it. So I just thought it was interesting, that again, it's just this whole thing is a mirror of some guy's life, So hey, because even at the choose your character screen, right?
Yeah.
You can pick, either him or your friend, and you're like, where are we gonna go, right? So and the crazy thing too is like again, like going back to this universe that he created with these games, like these characters designed, you see across like I'm a kid in America. I don't know who these people are. I don't even when their names pop on the screen, I'm like Shin. I don't know. Like like I don't know who's the best out of the team, right?
Yeah.
But it's this like kind of like you have this choice, and so from the jump, from start, it's you're in the thick of it, and you better know what button to press, and you better know, like, that's where you're, like, normal games now have the learning curve where they're teaching you how the game operates, and back then they didn't have that. It was like, go, like, this is, you'll figure it out,
Yeah, yeah, you'll figure it out as you go along. Yeah. So, like, they do have, like, it's crazy. They name everybody you're beating up. Like, everybody has a name.
Everybody has a name.
Everybody has a name.
And you're like, okay. Nuts. And then, like, again, they're all dressed differently. And then as you get to tougher characters, they're, you got to fight. At some point, you got to fight twins. You got to fight, like, you're like, you got to fight bigger characters. And you're like, I don't even know how I got here. Like, I was like, at this point, I think he's okay to have her. I think that's it. I got,
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that was different as far as, like, the characters, like, Double Dragon had the women. Like, it seemed like in all the beat up games you had at least women, and they always had whips. Which was kind of crazy. But yeah, this one didn't have. I don't think there were any women. Yeah, you fought. I'm trying to remember if they were. But it was mostly
because
guys, right?
Roxy, her friend shows up and tells you, where she's at.
Yeah.
And that's a bit, but she's just a character again, like, to push the story along.
Right. She's just there for further the plot. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, so, like, I mean, that's the mechanics. Like, the mechanics are we kind of talked about the mechanics, like the beat 'em up and and the RPG elements, and, like, you start out with $20. Like, you start out with $20, and you can grow that for whatever you want. Like, I know there's some cheats on there. You get like $1,000, but
you can also lose it. When you die, you lose the money.
You lose your money. Yeah.
So that's again, like, you succumb to the same fate as the people you're fighting.
Yeah.
So, and then, like, even with some of the stages, like, having areas where you could fall in. And then die, or people would fall in, or you could push people in there and be like, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was kind of, like, realistic from that sense, pretty much. All right, well, let's go on. Let's carry on to the characters. And again, this is a simple game. It's not complex, but, like, the characters, we got Alex, who's the primary player. You got Ryan, who's his best friend and partner. Like, for the longest time, I thought we were trying to get his girlfriend, Alex's girlfriend. But after reading it, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going after Ryan's. We're trying to get Ryan's girlfriend.
It's Double Dragon. Like, it's just a rehash of a story that we've all played.
That's true.
But this time, it's on a home, and like, you could see the rationale too, right? It's like, Double Dragon's really hot. We need a Double Dragon for Nintendo. But this is, until we can get Double Dragon on the system, right?
Yeah.
So and then Double Dragon's a different IP. That's Data East. That's the people who made Bad Dudes.
Right.
But this company was like, we can do our own little Double Dragon.
Yeah.
And I feel bad saying Double Dragon because it's not Double Dragon. It's not even mechanically intellectually. It's a totally different feel from Double Dragon, and that's actually probably what I think that's why the game is good. Like, it's why I like the game. Because it doesn't feel like Double Dragon.
No. It's really it's basically Double Dragon. He's like, okay, I'm going to make a game like Double Dragon, but I'm going to add this stuff to it.
Yeah.
That's
like you said, it's his life. It takes place in this other universe we created, where we have other things going on. So it's taken out of, and that's really when you have a game that's able to do it. Like, oh, it's the same kind of game. No, it's a different game. You know? And that's really what it's a different game. And so that's what I really like about this game. Along with, again, it's the 2-player beat 'em up. and like I historically just like beat 'em ups, and so when you put in the names, like like you said, Alex and Ryan, right? That's the Americanized version, but then there's the Japanese version where it's Shin, and I forget the other person's name.
Yeah, they have like a different name. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it's like, oh well, coming over here, nobody's gonna know that. Like they try to make the game appeal to the audience it's coming to, right?
Right.
So
Right.
even though these characters look nothing like, they're still very Japanese in how they look because it takes place in that. I think that's another cool thing is like, oh, they're Alex and Ryan, but they look very Japanese. They have
the Japanese guys.
They are wearing like what 1980s Japanese men would wear, or school kids would wear.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
But so with the characterization again of, where the also the gang style of names, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What are cool gang names that Americans have?
The zombies.
Yeah, like
that's the name of one of the gangs.
Yeah, and so it's like let's go from there.
Yeah.
You're just like, all right, this is all, this is, I kind of look at it like if you look at even with anime in the 80s, right? The stylization and the idealization of what how Americans act and how Americans are portrayed, it's very interesting. And so like a lot of anime in the 80s and early 90s have a very over the top way in how they look at American acting, right? And so that's the same way I feel like with this game it's a very over the top, of how we think Americans are in video games.
Right.
So that's an interesting thing.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like they try to Americanize it, but they also add a little bit of They have to put the Japanese culture stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a mixture of, because I do have like the girlfriend's name. The girlfriend's name is Cindy in America, but in Japan it's Masako, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And then they got all the bosses, and the bosses also have kind of American names. Like you have Moose, you have Benny and Clyde, which is a very American name. Rocco, Blade, Turk, Mojo, Thor. Thor is not really.
But again, these are what we think American gang names are.
Yes. Yeah.
And from what we've watched on American TV or seen in American, whatever cultural thing has floated our way, this is what we think their names would be like. So
right.
I think that's a very interesting, with video games also have very cultural elements to them. We don't really talk about that, a lot now because it's a lot more homogenized.
Right.
But back then, like, you're region locked. So you are not gonna play games that came out in Japan. So some of those games, like I said, for that universe to be even able to trickle over here, that's a miracle. Yeah. Because there are other games that as Americans we just never played, we never heard of. And I'm like, something I remember a friend of mine used to always tell me, he was like, it hurts my heart that I might not have read something or listened to something because it's in another country, in another language, and I just don't have access to that. You know? It's a little bit different now, but back then, no, you were region locked, so these games might even not even work on your system. So you weren't even going to be able to play it at all. Right. And so for, again, this particular property to be able to make it into America, be Americanized in a sense, and still keep the Japanese cultural elements, that
last part was just tip of the iceberg. Stick around as we dive deeper in part 2.
All right. So
where we left
talking about the characters. That's what we're talking about the bosses. That's what we're talking
about.
Yeah. So like, like you were saying, like the names, this is what Japanese think American names are like Thor, Ivan, like Otis. one of the bosses is named Otis. Tex, that's a very American name.
Yeah.
Tex is one of them. Randy and Andy, and then of course they have Slick at the end. Slick is the last guy, obviously the one that stole the guy's girlfriend, your buddy's girlfriend. And actually, when I fought him, I thought he was going to be extremely hard. But if you're at the good level, and you kind of got through Randy and Andy, which are kind of like a little bit before him. Randy and Andy are probably a lot harder than Slick. That was just my experience with playing. I don't know about what is your experience, or how far did you get? Did you get all the way to the end? Did you beat it?
I got to Slick, but I was by myself, so it was hard.
Oh, okay.
I felt it was hard. Like, I think it's because like I don't know, because Randy and like I had to do Randy and Andy like a couple times.
Yeah.
So it was almost like one of those Souls trials where you're like, oh, I'm not gonna make it. Like I'm about to just quit.
Yeah.
But once I finally got past him, and then I got to him, he was equally hard. I would also want to see what it was like to do it with another person, if because also I felt like back then the games with 2 players, it would increase the difficulty. Just off of there's more players here, more guys might show up on the screen, things like that. So I don't know, but again, it's one of those games where it's like, okay, you did what you did now. Yeah. Like, I mean, it could be worse than Ghosts and Goblins where you had to start over again,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
But not the ending either. So that's the other thing. Back then, you didn't get a lot of closure.
No. No, you didn't. No, you did not. Yeah, like playing like co-op. I didn't mention this before. I think we talked about it before the show, but we talked about like, you can easily punch your buddy. Like if you're playing with your buddy. I remember when I was younger and we used to get really upset. We used to yell at each other like, why are you hitting me? I'm not hitting you. What are you talking about? You just hit me in the face. Like, what's going on? Why are you doing this? Because it's funny because your character kind of mixes in with the enemy sometimes. Sometimes the other person, like Ryan, if you're a Ryan or if you're the other guy, like they mix, like you're punching, and you kind of miss, like you don't know who you're punching. You're like, oh shoot, sorry man, I didn't mean to punch you in the face. Yeah.
Between that and like the famous slowdown when there's too many things on the screen,
the Nintendo stuff.
Nintendo, you're just like, oh yeah, nah. So too much rendering going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that a lot with Randy and Andy because they're quick characters. So it was very like, it was crazy. They were supposed to be quick, but then there was times you take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Because then they would slow down like Matrix style and you just like punch them in the face.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool. That's pretty cool, man. So we kind of talked about the characters and the bosses, and there's, like I said, there's a lot of bosses, a lot more than I thought. Actually, I didn't think there was that many bosses, but when I played it again, I was just like, holy moly. I could not believe how long this game was. I don't remember it being this long. I mean, I just don't. I don't know about you, but I think that,
yeah. I playing it recently and even playing it like through the years, like you realize like, oh, there's a lot of stuff here. Like, like there is a lot of stuff. And that's the other thing about, like, again, this is like not a major IP, but they put so much work into this game.
Yeah.
You know, and you appreciate it. You appreciate it. But it's just like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff here, and you're going over these areas. Like I said, the restaurants and the boardwalks change. All that stuff is different, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I think that also gives, again, testament to how much time they spent in building this game, you know, and in that whole universe, you know. So, like I said, Super Dodgeball, I remember playing that game and just being like, I was like, I don't even know why, like, this is so interesting, but it was just like, even when you hit people with the dodgeball or there's things like that, you know, or then you see their big guy on their team come and just like kill everybody. Yeah, I'm just running for my life here, but same universe, right? You probably went to school with these kids, and now you're beating them up on the streets.
Yeah. And you played dodgeball with them last week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting how, like, because when you play dodgeball, it's almost like the same sound effects when you hit them with the ball as you do have in this game. It's like they fall the same way, they get hit the same way. So it's pretty interesting.
They're knocked out on the ground. You know, you just can't pick them up, and even though it feels like you could if you wanted to.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. All right, so yeah, that was pretty much the characters and the bosses. There were so many of them. The characters very few, but like, you know, we already know the story. That kind of goes in. We're going into story, which there is no story, not really. It's just
story.
It's basically like you said earlier, like it's basically old getting the maiden in distress. You know, it's just damsel in distress. Most people that played games back then were like me and you. They were boys. They're guys. There wasn't a lot of. It might have been girls playing, but it was mostly guys. So they kind of try to get kids like, I want to go save the princess, basically.
Yeah.
So like a lot of those games were like that. A lot of the games have gotten better and more, you know, female protagonists and all that stuff. But back then, this is kind of how it was. But you know, basically you're Alex and Ryan, and you're trying to save Ryan's girlfriend. And I kind of learned that I didn't really care much about the story. I just liked the gameplay when I was younger, right? Most of us did.
I think that's the universality of it, is it's really about the gameplay ultimately.
Yeah.
And then if an IP could do good gameplay, people are going to play it. You know?
Yeah. So yeah, back then it wasn't really, you know, right? Like games today are more like story driven. Like it's like playing a movie now. But like back then it was like, hey, we just want to make a good game, and there's a little story in there, but we're just gonna, you know, most kids are not gonna care.
I think we're getting a little bit we're going back to that in a little bit. So like Silk Song, that game that just came out, Steam or in all the other IPs, is like not a lot of story, but it's just got it's just good gameplay, you know. And those are the things that separate, like, again, this isn't Double Dragon. Well, what separates it from Double Dragon? It's the gameplay, you know.
Right.
And so the story, quote unquote, might be the same, but not Double Dragon, you know. And I think that's, back then they had to, the difference was the gameplay. Like Zelda, the first Zelda, you know, there were a lot of Zelda clones after that. And a lot of them were terrible because they didn't feel good, you know. I just remember one, again, this is the downfall of the box art highlight, right? I really hate that game because I just feel like it's terrible. Now, I'm sure they really tried, but to me, the game just was terrible, you know, and I couldn't get anywhere. But again, it's one of those Zelda clones, you know. Here again, River City Ransom, you know, and then fast forwarding to just beat 'em ups in general, like we finally get to Genesis and you got Streets of Rage, you know, Streets of Rage 2. What was my favorite? One of my favorite games It was Guardian something on the Sega Saturn. That is gonna bug.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
You had magic, right?
Yeah, I do remember. I forgot the name of it as well. I'm trying to remember what the name is.
Something
Yeah,
Guardians.
yeah,
That's I gotta look. That's gonna bug me.
yeah.
But it was one of my favorite games because it was a beat 'em up. But instead of using you were using magic, you had characters. Well, you had different characters. It was basically Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
But you had the different elements, and it was like a 3D type thing where you could jump from the foreground to the background. Golden Axe, that's another one. Again, just beat 'em up games, where it's just one of my other favorite games is the Avengers, the arcade game.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was a great game. Yeah.
Again, there's this history of look, the story is simple, but it's the gameplay that gets you, and that's what I like. I really love beat 'em ups. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade, right? That's again another driving force in how we play beat 'em ups,
Right.
Guardian Heroes, that's the name of the game. I'm sorry, that was
yeah, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that game. I played it like maybe once or twice, but yeah, I do remember that game.
Had it, and I loved it. Like, that's how much I loved it, and I played it over and over and over again. So, but so you have this, history of beat 'em ups and just the expansion of how they operate and how the mechanics of it. Again, we're seeing with River City Ransom the first elements of JRPG. And this isn't a beat 'em up game to what we have now, with Streets of Rage 4 that just came out, which, is a very good, I thought was a very good successor of the other Streets of Rage games, which are, Final Fight. Oh my goodness, Final Fight 1.
Oh gosh, yeah, we can go all day with the Final Fight. Yeah, all this, yeah.
So it's just games. Again, very simple, what either gangs take over the city or your girl's getting kidnapped. Like, what are we doing? We got to go to war on the streets, And I remember as a kid, thinking about what do I want to do when I grow up, and it was I want to be able to protect the streets like these people because they're out there, and that's what they're doing. They're fighting for, and that's the other kind of pseudo cultural thing, right? This guy built this world where he wants to get his girl back.
Right.
Streets of Rage, Final Fight, they built these worlds where gangs have taken over and we want to make the streets safe again, right? And so it's these ideas of how do we make society better, or how do I get what I want, and the trials and the tribulations to get to the ultimate goal, and that's just gaming in general. There's the end goal, but with beat 'em ups, it's this is how we tell a story of you're gonna have to fight, and you're gonna have to know how to fight. You're gonna have to know different tactics, because even in fighting games, even in beat 'em up games, there's tactics, right?
Yeah.
And I remember again playing with my cousin, if my health was up and his was down, you get that turkey, you get that power up, who's better at fighting bosses? The bosses have tactics. Watch what they're doing, figure it out, you double team. How do we, and then even playing solo, I see the very different tactics that each of these characters are doing, so how do I counter them, moves and counter moves. So beat 'em up games have a very they're a very soft spot in my heart because it's one of the first genres that I recognize oh, this is something that I'm gonna play all the games that do this kind of thing. And there's some very good ones, there's some terrible It's like
yeah, there is.
And
Yeah,
most of the ones because of the gameplay. Like it's not fleshed out correctly. But if they have good gameplay, I'll play them all day long.
yeah.
And even from just when we were talking about region lock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some that I didn't get to play until I got older because I couldn't buy a system that could play a game in Japan, and now I can. I can finally play these video games or play.
Kind of catch up, kind of catch up to what you didn't get when you're younger.
Yeah. Like, oh, I don't have a Neo Geo because that was like that was an arm and a leg back in the day. You had to be rich. Like rich, Neo
extremely
Geo.
rich.
So
did you know anybody with a Neo? I didn't know anybody.
I didn't know anybody with a Neo Geo. Like I said, it was like you buy the system, and they were $200 games.
Yeah,
I didn't know anybody who could do that.
No.
I do remember that I almost convinced my parents to get me one, and then I was like, nah, because I wouldn't be able to afford the game. It's like,
you can get the console, but you can't get the game.
Yeah, get the
like
console.
$200 a piece.
It's like $200. This was like they were like doing CDs early, and you're just like,
Yeah, that's interesting. You were talking about like with the beat 'em ups, like like it kind of puts you in that mode to be like, you know what? There's gangs everywhere, and I want to do my part to clean the streets.
Yeah,
like you mentioned, like Final Fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like my favorite part of that game is where you're Hagar. I think it's Hagar, where he's the mayor, and he's like, you don't see mayors doing that. You don't see mayors ripping their clothes off.
Final Fight 1, he's a regular guy.
Yeah.
And Final Fight 2, he's elected mayor, and then again, here comes the Mad Gear gang takes over. He goes to the streets.
Yes. Yeah. You don't see that in real life. Like you don't see like mayor. Like I know back in the day was Mayor Good in Philly. Like you didn't see Mayor Good like taking off his shirt. It'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna take you in the crime.
I'm gonna do what I need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you didn't see that. So that was interesting to see. And then like, I don't know. This came. I played this game in like the 90s, so I was probably in middle school, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to think what age I was, but like I didn't really care. About I wasn't like trying to get the girl. Like I didn't really care. Like I just thought I liked the fighting. I just like beating up people, beating up bad people, right?
Yeah.
Not like people in general, like just beating up bad people, beating up these gangs. This is also during the time where like you had the don't do drugs, like you had the dare, right? So like it's part of that whole culture.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is like culturally, what were they doing at the time? They were making sure that games delineated that kind of good versus evil, right?
Yeah.
So the Turtles didn't have that but they had their own universe, right? But you knew what it was good versus evil still. But Final Fight, Streets of Rage, those type of games, bad, or what is it? There's so many beat 'em up games, crazy. Like I
think Renegade. Renegade's another one I'm thinking.
Yeah, so it's just like this idea again of like, crime is on the street. Like I used to remember like listening to Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation 1814, right?
Yeah.
It's a very depressing album in the beginning, and then it turns around probably by track 5. But it's just this idea that, everything is bad and you got to do something. And that's really what these games were. It was like, everything's bad, but you got to do something.
Yep.
Whether it's your girl got kidnapped or the gangs are taking over, you got to do something. And that was even, again, going back to Double Dragon, which was like the crown of beat 'em ups, because it was like one of the first ones recognized. Like, even when you get to the end, if you're working with your partner, you got to fight each other now, because she wants to fight over. She wants you to fight.
That's
over.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Like it's just it's really interesting how the stories are very similar,
mhm,
very like you said, like gangs and then or the girlfriend. Like it was kind of like the go-to
mhm.
story because I don't think like we were talking about, I don't think people really cared much about the story really. It was more the beating up people, taking them down and beating the game. That was it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then like I would also add the element of as we go later on, right?
Hmm.
Is the music. Like the
Hmm.
soundtracks to these games put you in a beat 'em up mood, especially like Streets of Rage
Oh gosh, yeah.
and Final Fight. Like the
Yeah.
soundtracks for those games were very, like driving to get you to a point. And so even the evolution of that, right? So if you listen to River City Ransom, right?
Hmm.
Uh it's not a very driving game, but there are different if you go to different areas, there's still different music, right?
Hmm.
So when you go to like the shop areas, there's a shop music,
Yeah.
but even like when you're out on the street, there's different areas have different music,
Hmm.
and again, it's still like that fighting essence to get you to to beat them up.
Hmm.
Mega Ran, remember that guy, the rapper Mega Ran I told you about?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
He actually has an album where he does like it's called Welcome to River City. It's the River City Ransom album using the again sampling the music from River City Ransom.
Oh, jeez.
And but it's just like one of those things where it's like, that is a very niche thing to pull out and rap
Hmm.
about, you know. And I have the album, but it was just like, I'm like, how many people actually know about River City Ransom? And actually have played the game. If you talk to them, they're like, yeah, there's this game, called River City Ransom. You used to like be able to beat people up and like throw them and like beat up
Hmm.
people with other people.
Hmm.
People would be like, what are you talking about? And, but for him, like to be like this rapper and do this album, you know, um, it just tickled me because it was just like, oh, like he's one of the people who actually played the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned the music. Like I didn't. I mean, Streets of Rage is the music. Like I'll be honest. Like River City Ransom music, it wasn't like memorable for me.
Yeah.
But the Streets of Rage, yo, yeah, that was very memorable. That was extremely memorable as far as the music is concerned.
Yeah.
Uh, and that kind of brings us in because you're talking about the rapper who brought it in, right? That kind of brings us into like reception and legacy. Like,
Yeah.
when it first came out, and we already talked about this, like when it first came out, it was mixed reviews. Some people loved the game. Some other people are like, this is crap, or this
Yeah.
is a Double Dragon clone, and this is just bad. But I realized, like, even today, I noticed that it's the nostalgia factor of the game because I was looking it up. Like, there's so many games that they're in the same universe. Like now they have the girls fighting. They have
Mm-hmm.
River City Girls, which I want to play. I haven't played
Yeah,
that.
I was
I'd like
like,
to play that.
I couldn't believe. I was like, wait a minute, they made another River City like game for like
Yeah,
the Game Boy Advance or something like that, right? So,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I think this is it's called it would be considered a cult classic, right?
Yes, yes,
I think that like if this was a movie, it would be considered a cult classic. So
yeah,
this is a cult classic. Like if you played it, you probably like this game, you know.
yes, yes.
Um, and again the elements you were seeing the elements you were seeing the groundwork for a lot of different things to come out of this game,
Yes.
and I think the people who really like this game, they appreciated it for what it was. Like I
Yep.
said, pseudo open world, um JRPG, like all these different elements. Again, it's a universe contained with other games attached to it. So there's a lot of stuff with this game, and I think that's its
Mhm.
legacy. Is it's a cult classic, like,
Mhm.
um, and if you know, you know. It's like if you know, you know. Like so.
Yeah.
If I,
Yeah.
like if somebody brings up River City Ransom, you know that they are deep in the. I would say they were deep in the trenches of video gamedom, like back in the day.
Yes.
They were the
Yes.
people who, and it might have been one of those times where it was like, it was a weekend, it was going to be a long weekend, and most things were out, but that game was on the shelf, and you just rented it because it was there. I would say that you probably enjoyed it when you started playing it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, it was a game. Yeah, you're right. You would have to be really in the trenches to find this game because you and me both probably. Like I was a kid, like I couldn't like you mentioned you mentioned your nephew, right? Like, he has all the games in the world, right? But me and you, more than likely, like we got our fix going to the rental store. So you
yeah,
go to the rental store. I remember my grandfather, he took me every day after work. After work, you take me to the video store and I get like 2 games. And I have it for like 3 days or 2 or 3 days or whatever. And then I gotta beat it. I gotta beat it. I gotta do this. Right. So yeah, that's true.
so ours was
Yep.
we would do it every weekend. I didn't feel pressured to beat it only because like I knew I could rent it again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So but it was an experience, like even the experience of going out to rent and not having, like I said, one of the problems now is the fact that we have so many things that we can choose, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But back then you didn't, because not every game store carried all the same games. Some stores would have, like, people would tell you about these like certain games, and you'd be like, oh, and most most of the time they would only have the popular ones, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then if it was like, for instance, Mortal Kombat came out to the system, it was already gone.
Yeah.
So you had to find like some way
Yeah.
while you were there, and you
Yep.
pick up Eternal Champions, and you're like, this isn't Mortal Kombat, but still a good game. It's still a good game.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
But it still was, it held its own. It had its own, But that's this game is like, you went there for Double Dragon, they didn't have it, but you got a good game. You still got a good game,
You mentioned Eternal Champions. I remember Eternal Champions. That always was in the rental store. Not everybody knew much about Eternal. I liked Eternal Champions, but like Eternal Champions was like this game to like a more popular game like Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Right. Like you couldn't find Street Fighter in the stores, so you're like, all right, I'll just do Eternal Champions.
Yeah.
So and Eternal Champions was not a bad game. I don't think it was that bad. Yeah.
Another one of those games, again, if you're deep in the video, like Warlords, that was a good game. It was a bloody game too. Like you couldn't, you're like, okay, like but at the time, again, there were a bunch of other popular games and you would have missed that. And that's why I said, like, it's funny that you have cult classics with video games too.
Yeah.
And River City Ransom is a cult classic.
All right, that sounds good, man. And then I guess so. What we're gonna do? Let's do a rating, okay? Like this is final thoughts. So we're getting into final thoughts. So like, I think personally, this is a great game. I think it was a really good game. I think it was kind of like a hidden gem because not a lot of people know about it. So I out of 10, I'll give it a 8 out of 10. That's what I use. That's what I'll give it. So what do you give? What do you give River City Ransom?
I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Okay.
Out of 10.
Okay.
Only because, like, again, it's a cult classic. Like, I enjoyed every bit of the time I played with it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Double Dragon.
No.
Actually, you know what it is? And this is probably a me thing, right?
Yeah.
When I go to the arcade, I think I expected too much of home systems.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see arcade quality at home. And we didn't have that. So even with the Double Dragon home version, it wasn't Double Dragon Arcade. Turtles Arcade was not the Turtles Arcade at home. So I think this is just a me thing. My expectations are too high. And I thought that we were going to have arcade graphics at home. Now we got it later, of course, as the technology progressed.
Of course.
But I don't know. I think that's just me. That's a me. I know that's a me thing.
Yeah.
So I give it a 7.5. But it's really like, I wanted to see arcade graphics on my home, like on my Nintendo. So, and that's where, like, there are other games like in the future we can talk about where you get disappointed with the ports, things like that.
Yeah.
But this game to me is a 7.5. I will play it, like, scrolling through again. It's one of those games that I don't hesitate not to play. Playing it for this conversation that we're gonna have, I still enjoyed it. Like, so yeah, I will always enjoy this game. It is a cult classic. It's a 7.5.
Okay. All right. Yeah, River City Ransom. All right, so that's it, man. River City Ransom is the game that we were talking about. I enjoyed talking with you about River City Ransom, man.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for
we definitely, no problem, man. Yeah, so this is gonna be, we can definitely talk more about Bad Dudes in a future episode.
Yeah, another beat 'em up. So it's just like,
that's
again,
another beat 'em up. Yeah.
These plethora of beat 'em up games where you're just like, and then like, again, as the technology progressed, like the Spider-Man beat 'em up games, like I said, Avengers, just these you gotta fight to get to the end, there's a goal. And then wanting to see the arcade on the home port. And then some of those games didn't even come, like the Spider-Man game never came to the home system.
No,
it was
that's
arcade,
true. That's true.
And that was funny to me because I always wanted that game because you had Spider-Man, Black Hack, Namor, and there's one other person that you had. But it was just like, it was just weird conglomeration of, I don't want to say Avengers, but it was like sort of like that, but it was just with Spider-Man,
And we didn't mention the Simpsons beat 'em up game.
That is, oh gosh.
We didn't mention that. Yeah, I just
X-Men. I spent so much money on the Simpsons and X-Men Arcade. I was so disappointed again. Again, this is a me thing, right? Oh, the Simpsons are coming to Nintendo. I'm like, Bart versus what? Like, no, give me the arcade game,
Yeah.
Oh, X-Men's coming to Super NES. I'm like, you didn't just do the arcade. X-Men Arcade, I spent so much money. I beat it in the arcade once. And it was one of those, like, it was actually the 6-player one. And six kids, got.
Oh yeah, when you play with the other kids in the arcade, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
Played that to the end.
Yeah,
that
was good times.
I loved it, and so just like, that game. So again, oh my gosh, yeah, I spent so much money on those two games. just those two games,
Awesome, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's some really good games I wish I could have saw, like, from the arcade to the console.
Yeah.
But then see it, like, the stuff that we got instead, you're like, oh, come on, you could have given something better than that.
Bart versus the aliens, no. Played the arcade version of The Simpsons. Why?
Yeah, that just sounds pretty bad. Yeah. All right, good, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for joining. And that's pretty much River City Ransom. And I enjoyed talking about it. And
this is a very good discussion.
Yeah, man.
Fun. So
yeah, it's good times. Yeah, I had a great time as well. This is fun time. Awesome, man. Good stuff. Cool.
All right. thank everybody who's listening. Please subscribe, and we'll talk later.
Yeah, definitely. Till then, till soon, till another time. And that's it for our first adventure through the streets of River City. We hope you enjoyed the beat-ups, the power-ups, and the chaos as much as we did. Whether you're Team Alex or Team Ryan, remember, sometimes the real treasure is the friends you punch alongside. Thank you for joining us on Cartridge Chronicles. Keep your controllers ready and your adventures endless. We'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, don't stop gaming.